Okay, well, we are a 7:15, which is a bit of luck because these things normally don't go to plan. But yeah, over to Nurhak to talk about Cloudflare and Umbraco.
Okay, let me share my screen. Hopefully I can. All right, can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see. Well, I can see.
And hopefully you don't see a Stack Overflow page, but you see my demo, right?
Correct. I can see a presentation.
Presentation, yeah, excellent. Okay,
cool.
All right, okay, so let's start the slideshow. You can see it, right? Start. Okay, so this is my presentation that I used for another like Umbraco event, which was well, it was a .NET event. It was .NET Southwest. I did this talk like literally like last month, and so today's agenda is like introduction. I'm going to mention about what Cloudflare is and how it actually works. I will show you how to set up Cloudflare for any website and some of the key features. And then I will mention the Cloudflare page rules, and I'll show you how we can do like full page caching. And at the end of this talk, I will also share some sample code with you, so you can see like how you can integrate Umbraco with Cloudflare. Like you can use the sample code and then do things like purge Cloudflare cache, like after an item is published, for example, or unpublished or deleted. And in the end, we will also have a Q&A session. But you know what? You can just ask your questions because you know I think that's a better option. If everybody's happy with this, I'm happy with that. You know. Right. So. Okay, so my name is Nurhak. I'm a solution architect at Voltel, 2x Umbraco MVP, Umbraco certified master, blah, 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 blah. I try to contribute to Umbraco CMS and open source projects in various ways, like by writing blog articles, answering questions, organizing events, etc. So before we start, I want to ask like how many of you have actually used Cloudflare before? I can't see the hands. Justin, can you see the hands? Can you tell me how many people?
I don't think anyone's. Justin, the other Justin's put his hand up. I've used it from a DNS kind of perspective before a little bit. Oh, Clive's got his hand up. Yeah, Aaron's got his hand up. A few, I think, by the looks of it.
Okay, yeah, so we run it on a lot of our projects. It's very good for that.
That's great. Okay, so yeah, generally, like people know about Cloudflare, and I would say. Most of the time, like up to half of the people, they have used Cloudflare for their projects at some point. I also want to ask, like, how many of you have actually created like content, Cloudflare like page rules, like for full page caching?
No.
Aaron?
Oh, Aaron, I think Aaron's still got his hand up, maybe.
Okay, so
everyone else.
Seems like Aaron has done this before. Excellent, and that is also again an expected number, like. Generally, like a couple of people, they have done this before. And I have done the full page caching last year for the Bristol Airport website. And that has been, you know, we have improved the performance a lot by doing that. And also, we have also saved quite a bit of money on the Azure resources, you know, like because when you cache stuff more, then you don't have to go to the origin server and etc. etc. Okay, so briefly put, Cloudflare is a CDN. So that's for content delivery network, and CDN is like geographically distributed group of servers that caches stuff for the end users. And generally, CDN servers they cache things like all of the front-end assets. Generally, like things like JavaScript, style sheets, images, and sometimes videos as well. But they don't always cache the HTML pages. Major websites use CDN, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, some of the examples. And if you configure a CDN correctly, it also creates like really good protection against things like DDoS attacks. But it is not a web host, so it cannot replace your like web server. It just caches stuff for you. Okay. Some of the primary benefits, it improves obviously the website load times because you cache your stuff, and rather than going to the origin server, you get your content from a cache server. Just to give an example, if you are based in the UK and if you are reaching to a US-based website, you are most, and if that website is sitting behind a CDN, then you are most likely going to a UK CDN server rather than going to a US-based web server. And same logic applies to a US web user. Because web users, sorry, there's a lot of content here, by the way. I think it's a bit confusing sometimes, but don't worry about reading it. When you have a good CDN, because of its distributed nature, you generally reach to the closest like CDN server, and then you get your content from there, and that helps improving the website load times, and it reduces the bandwidth costs because things are cached and they are returned from a cache server, and that also increases the content availability. With the correct setup, it can also improve the security. Right, so let's take a look at this image. So as you can see, these are all like network of servers. They're all linked together. So here is the example. So this is a web server based in the US, and and it has a CDN sitting in front of it. And as you can see, like all the data is like contributed to all of these like CDN servers. So if someone from Asia is trying to reach this website, they don't go all the way to the US server, but they go to the this CDN server, and then they get the data from there. And if the data changes, then all these like CDN servers are updated so that these people, they continue to get the data most of the time from the cache servers. A good CDN generally places their servers at the exchange points between different networks. So these are called like internet exchange points. So these are the primary locations where like internet providers, they connect. With this helps obviously CDNs to cache things like much quicker, and also serve to the users like much quicker. Right, so let's carry on. Here's the Cloudflare global network. It covers like they say most of the world, well, most of the populated areas. There are like data center locations in North America, Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Asia, mainland China, and Oceania. So this is like Oceania, right? So the UK centers for the UK Umbraco developers, they are like based in London, Edinburgh, and Manchester. Right. So when you go to cloudflare.com, you first need to choose your product, and you will see like multiple products like the ones that you see here. And for apps and infrastructure, this is the option that you should choose. That is the application security and performance. And as you can see, like it's gonna accelerate things, as well as providing some new APIs, and also some additional features for DNS, WAF, DDoS, and more. Depending on your requirement, obviously you can try using the other Cloudflare products, but this is the one that most people like most Umbraco developers, or most developers, would go for. There's a very interesting like Cloudflare case study. In February 2012, Walmart conducted an analysis to understand like how the website page performance affects e-commerce conversion rates. So from the graphics, as you can see, up to like, if the page load time is like up to like 1-2 seconds, people generally, like they do what they need to do. If it is purchasing an item, they purchase their items. But starting from like 1-2, especially if the page load time is like worse than like 3 seconds, like most people, they just give up. Starting from like 4, like people just, they don't wanna use that website at all. So it's really important to have having like a website that doesn't have like bad page load time, because it can affect the business like directly. And Cloudflare, or something like Cloudflare, could help you definitely to improve the page load times, and hopefully make you some money, and also your clients some money. Right. It's really easy to set up Cloudflare. I'll show you the setup like in 6 steps. But have you got any questions so far? Okay, these are all like general, like standard, like general information, really. Okay, so these are the screenshots that I created using my personal account and my personal website. I am using the free option. So if you are going for, if you want to use Cloudflare for a client, then I think you can still use the free option. I was in fact talking to Callum White yesterday, and he was telling me how he was using this free Cloudflare account for one of his clients. And you can still use the free option for your clients, but I think for more like complex websites, probably you would like to go for a paid option. And it is still not that expensive. I'm going to also mention the prices. Okay, so the first step is you log in as normal. If you don't have a Cloudflare account, you just sign up and then log in, and then hit this Get Started button on the home page. And then it will redirect you to this second page. And this is where you enter your domain. It's literally like your domain name .com or whatever. Okay, and then you continue. And then the step 3 is gonna be about the pricing options. At the bottom, you can choose the free option. You still have some core features like DNS, DDoS protection, global CDN, SSL certificates, etc. But for most, I think, clients, you should probably go for minimum like pro option. And as you can see, it's not that expensive. I think for a lot of like organizations, like Cloudflare is like quite a cheap option. It is also the best option, by the way. I did some research. Like if you don't want to choose Cloudflare, your second best option could be Azure Front Door. But Azure Front Door is like way behind Cloudflare in terms of features, coverage, etc. Okay, so step 4. So after you add your domain name, it is going to review your DNS records. It's going to take a little while, and then it's going to display all these details for you. Okay, you don't need to do anything. It just brings all these details for you. Obviously, you can always like add some additional records if you want to. And the following screen is Cloudflare is going to show you some Cloudflare name servers. As you can see here, these are the Cloudflare name servers. And what you need to do, the next step is you need to go to your registrar's portal and then add these name servers. It's as simple as that. So let me go back again. So Cloudflare is going to give you all these like name server details. Simply click and then go to whichever is your DNS registrar. Or for me, I think this is Namecheap. Maybe if you know it, maybe you might want to remember the screen. But you literally choose this custom DNS option and then add the name servers and then hit OK. And after doing that, that is going to take a while, probably like most of the time. It's actually a couple of minutes, really. It just does its own magic and then links Cloudflare with your DNS record. And then it shows you this step 6. And this is the step that you have created your connection with your Cloudflare setup and your DNS record and domain name. And if you have reached this point, then you can then start doing like basic Cloudflare configuration. Okay. Any questions so far? It's really like straightforward. Just log in and then just follow the scripts essentially. Okay. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I've written 4 script articles recently, and 2 of them have been published. And hopefully within, like I would say, a couple of weeks, you should have the final 2. So I mentioned all details in those articles. So just check the script IO to find those articles. So you can get all the details from those articles.
Are those 4 articles in a series, or are they kind of, you have to read 1 through to 4?
So it's like so 4 articles, like the first one, because the articles were too long, I had to like create like 4 articles, because I was like, I mentioned all of the steps and all of the details, and then Cloudflare features, and also things like, you know, before really describing Cloudflare, I wanted to explain what a CDN was and how Cloudflare CDN actually worked, etc. So for number 1 and number 2, they are just one article at the moment, but in the article you will see like this is part 1 and part 2. You will see that detail, and it's all about like CDN, what is a CDN, some details about Cloudflare, and all these steps up to step 6. And the second article, which will cover part 3 and part 4, and it will be all about Cloudflare features, full page caching, and some code samples. Okay, so you have reached step 6, and this is where you're gonna configure your domain settings to improve things like security, performance, and get what you can basically from Cloudflare. Just hit get started, and then there is a bit of configuration. So this is for automatic HTTP rewrites. Yeah, I think you should definitely check this. So it should redirect all HTTP URLs to HTTPS. So what did I do? Always use HTTPS. Again, another setting. This is, again, it is very obvious. So all HTTP requests, it won't accept them. It will redirect them to HTTPS, and yeah, always work with. It will always work with HTTPS URLs. There is this little tool broadly that's going to just, I would say, just keep it checked. It's going to speed up the page load times by applying this like compression, broadly compression. I don't know the details of it, but why not? If it's going to speed up the page load time, let's just do it. Yes, and then finish. So these are the options that you see for the free Cloudflare product. But if you have a different product, then you will probably see some additional changes, additional settings. Okay, so I didn't have to do this setup, by the way, at the very beginning. You can always go to overview and do all this setup anytime you want. But I think after as part of your initial Cloudflare setup, you can just do the settings. We should always use HTTPS anyway. And if there's anything that you can improve out of the box, just I think we should do it. So after hitting finish, this is what you should see, like similar to this page. Obviously, domain name will be different, and some of the other details will be different. Okay, and yeah, Cloudflare setup is done. Initial setup is done for your website. Obviously, you can do this for any website. And then after the setup is complete, you can come to this section and then apply some additional, start using some additional features or make some changes to your existing setup. So on this page, you're going to see, you will find your zone ID, which is what we are going to use later on, and the account ID too, and also this API token. In order to use the Cloudflare API, you're going to also need this API token. So you literally click on it, and then it gives you this API token, and then you copy it somewhere, probably in your solution, to use the make calls to the Cloudflare API like later on. Okay, so we're going to need this like zone ID, account ID later on. Okay. Yeah, so if you wait like for a few minutes and then visit your website, then you're going to see that, like Cloudflare is going to start caching things, and it's going to display all these details for you. Okay. Right. That was the Cloudflare setup. Again, like very, very straightforward. I think the only tricky bit is linking your DNS with your Cloudflare setup. That is generally the tricky bit. As long as you do that bit, you shouldn't have any issues. Right. So some of the key features, SSL, TLS. So this is where you manage and purchase your SSL certificates if you want to. So you can, this is like renewing SSL certificates. That's always a problem, like for most clients. I don't know how you manage it. but you can auto-renew those certificates using Cloudflare if you want to, or you can use your existing certificates too. It doesn't matter. Okay, so security, again, another important bit. So this is where you can take action, like you can create some firewall events. You can say things like, IP restrictions, for example. In fact, I used this quite a few times, like for multiple projects, especially just to give you an example from Bristol Airport. Since the war in Ukraine started a couple of years ago, the invasion started, the big invasion, the UK infrastructure, we started to see a lot of attacks originated from certain countries. So you can, add some firewall events and, like create some managed rule sets to create some additional protection. You can say, like, don't allow these IPs, for example, to reach to my website and stuff like that. Okay, depending on your Cloudflare product, again, you will see some additional fees. I got these pictures actually from the internet. So you can have things like bot fight mode. So you can challenge and or block requests matching patterns of known bots before they can access to your site. Again, as I mentioned, look, you can create like IP access rules. You can change the security level. So if you realize that you are under attack, you can just come and select this option, and that is going to then challenge more like requests. Okay, that is the under attack mode. Obviously, after you do this, the Cloudflare is going to like challenge more requests, and in the meantime, you should go and fix the problem, whatever it is. Okay. Right. Another section is the speed section. This is where you can run tests and also identify some bits to improve. So you can just add the URL, and you can say like how does this look like from another part of the world, for example, and you can run the test and then see how it looks like. I think this is quite useful. Like if you are your website serves basically for the entire world, and if you are curious about how the website actually looks like from another part of the world, then you might want to come and run some tests using some synthetic data, and then hopefully improve some of the things with your website. Okay, again, in the speed section, you can do some optimizations, like image resizing, for example. This is only available. This was when I checked this. This was only available for the business product, and you can also do some other things like, I don't know, as you can see, like improve image load time by optimizing images hosted on your domain, blah 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 blah. Okay, free option unfortunately doesn't give you all these features, so you have to pay some money in order to reach those features. Okay, and another feature, again, free option doesn't give you this. You can reduce the file size of source code on your website by simply coming and checking all these like checkboxes. And yeah, yes, okay. And I've already mentioned broadly, and I think you have that option like kind of out of the box for all products. Okay, right. So if you have an Umbraco website, for example, and if you feel like you are not displaying the latest content, maybe things are cached, and if you want to display the content like urgently, for example, then you can simply come here and purge everything, and that's gonna clear off all of the Cloudflare cache, and then Cloudflare is gonna go and get all the data from the origin server. So you might want to use this, but obviously don't use it like unless you have to. And you can also change the caching level from this page. Standard caching level is like so you can ignore query string, for example, as displayed here. Okay, and the cached items, like items are cached like for 4 hours by default. But if you have a website that doesn't change very often, you might want to come here and then cache it for longer, maybe, I don't know, for a week or for a month. I think you have the option to do that. Right, okay, I will come to configuration rules later on. This is where you create your rules for full page caching. And yeah, and those are the most important features of Cloudflare. Again, if you have any questions, please just just feel free to interrupt and then ask your questions. Okay, I'm going to continue with the Cloudflare page rules and caching now. Again, you come to the rules section, and page rules is where you create a page rule for your website. And for full page caching, what you do, you add your URL. It could be anything like domain name / page that you want to cache. Okay, and then you pick a setting. There are multiple various settings, but for full page caching, you have to choose cache everything, because Cloudflare, what it does, it caches all of the front-end assets out of the box. So front-end, JavaScript files, CSS files, images, they are cached automatically. You don't have to do anything. But HTML, it is not cached automatically. So in order to do that, you need to come here and create a page rule, and you should say, okay, cache everything. And once you do that, it's going to cache everything on that specific page. So you can, if you have, for example, from Bristol Airport, there is this shopping section, okay, and underneath shopping section you have lots of options like details about shops and stuff like that. So if you want to cache, and if those pages if they don't change very often, you can simply come and say cache all page URLs which follow this pattern, like your domain name / shopping / whatever. So you can create more generic rules, and rather than caching individual URLs, you can cache more things. Okay, so example domain name / that's gonna cache basically everything, everything for your website. Okay, you can create multiple rules. Free option, I think it allows you to create probably 10, maximum 10 page rules. That is probably still enough for small websites. But for if you have a more complex website, you should go for a paid option, and that's going to allow you to create, I think, I'm not sure, is that 50 or 100? You can create more page rules. Okay, so free option, it allows you to create 3 page rules, but still you can still use it, and you can still improve the performance of quite a few pages by doing that. Okay, so here are some examples which I created again for Bristol Airport. Look, shop and eat. So you can say shop and eat /shop /WH Smith hyphen books, cache this page, or you can say at the airport shop and eat everything. If there is a URL which is following this pattern, it's gonna cache all of them. So all shop and eat /eat, and then all of the other all those pages, they are gonna all cached. And
does the order matter? So if you've got /star, but then you've got a specific page under eat that you want to have a slightly different setting, do you have to put it in a certain order for that single page to work?
There isn't an order as far as I know, Justin. So you can do it in any order. Obviously, okay. There are bits that you can always improve. When I first created those page rules, that was the first time that we were creating page rules at my company. And so it is possible that these examples are not the best examples. But what I'm saying, you can create your clever rules and then cache more stuff with one single rule. And I think the order doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. So here's an example. As you can see, I'm filtering, I'm checking cache performance, and I'm looking for content type equals HTML, and I'm also looking for cache status equals hit. So these are all of the pages that people visited, okay? And all of them have been served by Cloudflare. So Cloudflare never went to the origin server to render any of these pages for this example. This is actually pretty good, like you can, if you can create like all these like clever page cache rules, then you can potentially, you don't need to use like, I don't know, like big resources on your origin servers. Okay, because I think quite a lot of websites like they probably can use like less resources if they use Cloudflare. Aaron, yeah, go for it.
So on my host site, I'm using this heavily, but the one problem I had was trying to exclude the Umbraco folder from being cached because API responses and everything else is being cached. How would you go about excluding the Umbraco folder and obviously API endpoints and anything like that which has sensitive data on it from the cache?
When you say Umbraco folder, what do you mean? Do you mean the back office?
Yeah. So if you've got it set to cache everything, then
okay.
How do you say everything but /Umbraco?
You put Cloudflare only in front of front-end websites. So for all my projects, we always have one server for the Umbraco website, and that is specifically to log into Umbraco back office. It has a different URL, and you cannot go to the Umbraco back office using the front-end URL. So we never needed that. We always put Cloudflare in front of our front-end websites.
I mean, most websites that I host and have dealt with, Umbraco is still attached to the main website. So I'd be interested to find out how you can exclude a path, because it's only really big corporate sites which split off the back office, in my experience. So it'd be interesting to find out how you can say exclude this folder or exclude something or other. Or if they've got a client area, how do you stop that from being cached and things like that?
I would say if you look at Cloudflare's documentation, I know it is, I'm not maybe being so helpful because I've never needed to do that, Aaron. But Cloudflare's documentation, if you check it
if I remember correctly, you can set a cache level of bypass.
I think it is possible, yeah.
Yeah.
It is possible, but I haven't done it before because I've never needed to do that.
Yep.
Okay. Right. So here are some more examples. Again, as you can see, like all these pages, these are all like these were all cached at the time, and yeah. So parking, like this many, I would say requests. Probably these are like this many people or whatever made a call to this parking page, and they were all returned from the cache server rather than the origin server. I think this is pretty impressive. When you have lots of pages and lots of people, especially during the high season, like Bristol Airport, like people fly to many places, and they use all this like parking, shop and eat a lot. And if you cache those pages, it's almost like static, serving like static pages to those people. Right. Okay, this is the final bit, integrating Umbraco with Cloudflare. You can integrate Cloudflare with any app, by the way, because Cloudflare has this REST API. So as a result, you can make call to this REST API from anywhere. Okay, yes, so you can put Cloudflare in front of any website, but maybe I should update this slide saying maybe don't put it in front of the Umbraco website, like /Umbraco, your actual back office website. But that could be a way to, avoid caching /Umbraco. So whenever you update a web page, you should write, you should clear off the Cloudflare cache. And the best option is to do it like programmatically. And for Umbraco world, obviously, when you publish an item, you are making you have made some changes. So you need to make sure that the changes are reflected on the front end website. And same for unpublishing. If you unpublish an item, it shouldn't be available in the cache any longer. So you should purge the cache and then simply remove it from Cloudflare's cache. And same for deletion. Yes, sample code. I'm going to now look at sample code. Let's take a look at the final notes and future Umbraco upgrade. Oh, what is this? Oh, this is just wrong. Okay, this is just wrong. Forget about it. This is from another talk. Yeah, I think Cloudflare's, something like Cloudflare is a no-brainer for most cases. It doesn't cost you that much, and it caches your items, and it makes your websites like much faster. People can reach your website from various locations across the world. And if you set up the security features correctly, it can really like protect your website. So just to give you another example from Bristol Airport's website, because of this war in Ukraine, a lot of like airport websites, they were under attack like multiple times. Like one of them is like Birmingham Airport. I think their website went down like a few times, and they also contacted Bristol Airport to say, look, we are under attack, just be careful, do whatever you need to do. And Bristol Airport guys, they were never really worried, and the website never went down because we had Cloudflare together with some other like security options sitting in front of the front end website. So it can save you some time and money, and it can be like it can definitely like help developers. You know, you will have hopefully like better days with Cloudflare CDN. Right. So let's take a look at the code now. I've talked too much, and here is the code. Let's start with the. You can, you know, I'm happy to share this presentation with you on the Meetup page, so you can access all of the source code, or you can just wait for the script article, which should be published like within a week or so. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe next week they might publish it, so you will get all these details. Okay, so first step is obviously adding some settings into your app settings JSON, and as I mentioned before, you're going to require things like zone ID, API key, client API base URL is always same unless they provide a new base URL. It could be maybe version 5 in the future, but version 4, it should always work. Aaron, just to answer your question a bit better, so look, this is my domain URL, because I need this domain URL because when you have like two websites, one for back office, one for the front end website, and you do obviously publishing, unpublishing, deleting your items from your back office website, and then the base URL is actually different. For that case, it's going to be your back office domain name, and because Cloudflare is sitting in front of the front end website, and I really want to use my front end domain name, that's why I have this setting here. Okay, and it also requires you to have this user email. That is, I mean, I use my Cloudflare like account username, and you can do the same thing. Okay, in the startup, I just added this bit just to for the Cloudflare Purge Cache HTTP client, and also get the Cloudflare settings like easily. Okay, standard setup, nothing really fancy. Let's take a look at the next class. This is my Cloudflare Purge Cache client. It's literally, it gets all the details from the config file, and then sets the base URL, headers, and request headers as well. Oh, children are trying to get in. Okay. Right. Obviously, in the Umbraco world, you're going to have to create some like composers, and these are my. This is to register Umbraco notification handlers, and then tell them to use like some special methods, like for publishing. For published notification, I'm saying use this handler, and for unpublished, use the unpublished notification handler. I'm going to show them to you as well. Standard setup, really, nothing's fancy. Here's a piece of code that is to just return the entity URL, and that returns your domain URL, and then the entity URL which I need from my code. Okay, so let's take a look. So this is the content published notification handler. It inherits from this notification handler content published notification, and what this does, when a content is published, it comes here, and if the Cloudflare purge enable is true, then it makes a call to this purge Cloudflare cache for published entities method, which is this one. And what this does, it basically gets all of the URLs for all of the published content pages, because you can go to a parent page and then right click and publish it. When you publish it, you can publish all of the children items as well. So you will have like a list of URLs. And then after creating the URLs, I literally pass it into this Cloudflare cache handler, purge Cloudflare cache by URLs method. Okay.
Have you considered also requesting all the references that of your published page? Because you might have changed the name, and then all the pages that use that page as a link or whatever, those need to be updated as well, right?
Sven, for the Cloudflare, it only cares about the URLs. So all I need here is the URLs of the published pages.
Yeah, I understand, but let's say you publish page A, and page A is referenced on B and C in a picker, right? To put
I see. Good point.
Yeah, yeah. You might want to update those as well, because the name in the link might be used.
That's a good point, Sven. I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, it's a fair point. You can potentially, write more stuff here and then handle all of those scenarios as well. But the worst case scenario, like people, I think it is still probably best to keep it as simple as possible. And what is the worst case scenario? Unless it's a critical website, that maybe shouldn't be cached. If it is so critical, maybe things shouldn't be cached anyway. But if your client complains about, some pages are not being updated, you can always go to Cloudflare and purge cache for everything if you need to, or maybe change the page rules and just simply disable it. Okay, so when you create a page rule, you can always disable or enable it. Okay, right. So let's take a look at now this cache handler. This is the unpublished notification handler. Same logic applies. And here's the Cloudflare cache handler. So this is the method that I'm using. I'm passing all the URLs in here, and it literally, you serialize some data. This is a very standard code. You don't need to change anything in this code at all. You just pass the URLs and copy this, the logic exactly how you see it here. And then you pass all the serialized data into this purge method. And then purge method then makes a call to Cloudflare API, and then just passes the URLs and then asks Cloudflare to basically purge cache for all these URLs. And then you get a response. Depending on the response, you might want to do something else. But I haven't seen any problems. Like, you just pass the URLs and Cloudflare just does the job without any issues. And this will then help you to reflect the changes, your latest changes on the front end website. And the deletion is the same logic. You just inherited from the content deleted notification handler, but in the end you still make the exact same call, collect all the URLs and then pass it to this method. Any questions?
Yeah, I did have my hand up in the thing, but I don't know if you noticed it.
I haven't. No, I can only see this little. Maybe on the other screen, maybe I can't see all of you.
I don't know where it pops up.
There you go.
I was thinking, so, Sven made a good point actually, and that's something that I've been thinking about a lot with, so I've been looking at static site generators as well, and the different workflows people use with static site generators. I think each of the methods that I've looked at, I can see possible flaws with each one of certain bits of content not being updated. I was thinking when Sven said about the URLs, obviously usually the URL rewrites in Umbraco would take care of it. If you change it from, I don't know, boots to shoes, then the URL handler that comes out of the box in Umbraco would usually handle that. But I don't know if that would be the case for this, because it's a static page. That page doesn't exist. But I have been playing around with HTMX recently, and that allows you to put dynamic content into HTML with a very small amount of JavaScript. Mm-hmm. So you possibly could make your navigation, anything that is a series of links, you possibly could make that dynamic even in a static HTML site.
You can
Just a
potentially
thought.
do that. Yeah, just a thought. Yeah, I understand. But what I did, again, I talked about Bristol Airport. What I did, so just to give you an example. So if I go to bristolairport.co.uk, so you can cache the homepage, for example. Okay, I can't remember whether we were caching the homepage, but all these features, they will continue to work. You know, you can choose your entry date, exit date, whatever, and then you can book your parking. Okay, but we also have things like arrivals and departures. Okay, we made a decision and we decided not to cache this page because you continuously make some like calls to some like third-party systems to get all this like flights data. You know, you need to show the latest correct information to the people. You know, like if it is landed, it is landed. If the estimated times has changed, then you have to, you know, let people know. So even more important for departures, you know, like final boarding. You want to make sure that you know you don't miss it. So we made a decision to not to apply full page caching for these pages, but we still cache all of the front-end assets. Like all of the images are cached, styles are cached, you know, like JavaScripts are cached. But yes, you can potentially, you know, play with it and then customize it for your needs.
One of the ways I got around it on Unpost was I just made it cache it for only a couple of pages at a time, a couple hours at a time, sorry. So that way, if there was a 404, it would only ever be around for however many hours.
Couple of hours. Yeah, exactly. So as I said, like Cloudflare caches stuff like for 4 hours by default. If your content editors, if they're, you know, making lots of content changes, when I say content changes, if they change the URLs, for example, by changing the titles, then of course you might wanna maybe change that time to maybe 1 hour or even like some minutes. But I think for most cases, that's not gonna happen. And worst case scenario, you will display the cached content to people for a certain amount of time. And with that, I'm done, Justin.
Excellent. I had a question for you, Nurhak. How do you handle pages that have got dynamic content? So if you've got, for example, you've got a page, you've got a login and the header changes when someone logs in and you're caching that page. Obviously, you don't want to cache the page if it's got someone's name on it and stuff like that. Do you just not cache those kind of pages? Or, you know, if you've got that in your header, for example?
Yeah, I don't cache those pages because stuff like headers, for example, you know, you can use different methods to cache this kind of information. You shouldn't probably use Cloudflare. If content is changing like dynamically full time, you shouldn't probably use it. And if it is like a dashboard, like members dashboard, for example, Justin, potentially you shouldn't cache it anyway, you know, because you should really cache the pages, you know, which are reached by the public, because you know, you know how often someone goes to their dashboard, you know, it shouldn't really impact the overall like website performance. But if homepage, you can cache the homepage potentially. Okay, so what I do if there's a lot of like dynamic content, like important dynamic content, like then I probably wouldn't do like apply full page caching.
Okay.
For that page.
Yeah. Excellent.
And here's an example, like arrivals and departures. You know, we didn't apply full page caching for this page.
Yeah. Yeah. Super. Anyone else got any questions for Nurhak? No. Excellent. Shall we take a little break? We can stay on and chat, or if people need to have a comfort break or whatever they want to do, that's fine before Aaron's talk. But yeah, thank you for that, Nurhak. If you want to let us know your slides, or send over your slides or something, I can put those up on the Meetup page, and you'll link to your code samples.
Absolutely, of course.
Super. Thank you very much. Excellent. So we had a couple of people join whilst Nurhak was talking. We had Richard, and there was someone else might have disappeared again since then by the looks of it. Oh, and Arthur. No, there's Arthur. Arthur's listed as well. Hello, Richard and Arthur. We are recording this, so you can come back and watch this later if you want to catch up on what Nurhak started when you joined. I won't make you do intros. That's fine.
Which is cooking.
Yeah, cook along.
Excellent. That's all interesting stuff. I've used Cloudflare I literally just put it in front of my own website, and it has quite a performance benefit if you're looking at SEO and optimization as well, because obviously you've got like the Brotli stuff, you've got the asset caching, and the fact that it's just closer to wherever the user is. So it kind of, if you're looking at SEO, that's probably one of the first things you should do is just stick Cloudflare in front of it. I've never kind of done any page rules or API stuff with it, so it's quite interesting to know that you can do a purge of the cache when you publish content and everything. So that's actually, that's another question. I don't know if you know, is there a delay to that? So if you purge a cache for a page, it's obviously not instant, is it? Is it kind of, does it take a few minutes, a few seconds, or?
I would say milliseconds, really. Like the moment you purge it, it's available straight away.
Okay, because you've got to think it's got to go and purge that from all of the endpoints around the world, hasn't it? So that's quite impressive that it can do that fairly quickly.
Oh yeah, probably Justin. Sorry.
So as I say, they advise it's a maximum of 30 seconds, but I've only ever seen it in about 2.
Okay.
It's really quick.
It's fairly
potentially, if you organize like multiple people like from different parts of the world, and if you purge the cache and then render the pages again, you might see some differences, like slight differences potentially. But as Aaron said, like it generally takes like maximum couple of seconds to like update the data across the world.
Yeah, and you can always tell when people are behind Cloudflare, because when Cloudflare goes down, the number of sites that stop working because of that. I know that's quite a rare occurrence, but I think it has happened once or twice in the past. Yeah,
I think some clients, they are confused with Cloudflare and the origin server. Like Cloudflare it can never replace your origin server. You still have to deploy your changes to a web server, for example, and you still need to make sure that you will never return things like 500. You should fix all of your server errors, for example. Okay, Cloudflare cannot fix those problems. It can continue displaying if there is a 500 error, for example, 500 error on a page. Cloudflare will continue to display the latest cached version of it for a certain amount of time, but at some point it's going to display the error to the end user. So you have to go and fix your problem. And one more thing, if you are doing some like migrations, for example, and if the URLs have changed, you can use obviously multiple tools to do the redirects, but you can also use Cloudflare to do the redirects. They could be things like if the client had like www and non-www domain name, then you can say, look, stop using both of them, and I'm going to redirect all of the non-www ones to www. You can do these things from the Cloudflare. Look, as you can see, my boy is starting now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to bed and try to join you, okay? And I would like to watch Aaron's like talk, if you can share it, please.
Yeah, we'll do afterwards. Yeah, good luck with bedtimes.
Okay. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Apologies, Aaron. I really wanted to watch your talk, but unfortunately, wife is not at home. I have to, take this to bed.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Cheers, Nurhak. Okay. See you later.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I thought we'd maybe do a screenshot of everyone waving or smiling. I don't know how many people want to turn cameras on that don't have cameras on. If everyone's happy with me grabbing a screenshot. Excellent, just to prove it happened. Everyone wave and smile. Super. Cool. Thank you very much. I want to stick on the old social media. Bonus. Okay.
Cool, I will be ready soon. As I say, I'm just waiting for GitHub to publish this new Get package. I had to do a quick bug fix during the talk.
Never mind. Last minute deployments and all that kind of stuff. Does it take long for NuGet to kind of update and everything?
Well, it's the GitHub Actions that takes the time.
Oh, GitHub. Okay.
Yeah. It's got to run all the unit testing and everything else. It only takes about 5 minutes.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. If anyone wants to have a quick break, grab a drink or toilet or whatever, that's fine. And then we'll hopefully start Aaron's talk shortly, 5 minutes or so. Okay.
It was just a simple. It was a service missing in one of the Angular files, but because it's all using Razor class libraries, you've got to have the DLL updated, not just
okay. Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to have fun and games when 14 comes out, having to rewrite back office stuff?
To be fair, there's minimal back office in it.
Oh,
So
okay.
all of it's, there's no custom anything. It's all using core features. I've argued this a loads of times on the Mastodon channel that the documentation needs to be a little bit nicer, and go regards that if the V8 back office documentation says this is how you make a button, then there should be a new back office version of documentation that says how you make the exact same button. Doesn't matter if you've got to put 3 or 4 different objects together to make the button, but there should be a piece that says to make the save and publish button with the little up arrow, you need to use this, this, or this. This is an example on how to do it.
That's a good argument. I just don't know.
For non-front enders, it's not friendly at the moment.
Yeah.
Agreed, but they're working on it. But since they're still changing things. I mean, UU library is quite stable now, but there have been some minor changes in the API last week still for the front end. It's just.
I started using the UUI library, but then because the documentation is so un-back-end editor, I just ended up going back to the standard.
And from then it just goes in. It
documentation.
goes like, oh yeah, this is nice. Let's go. I know how this works. Bam, done. It's like,
yeah, I think it's going to be quite a learning curve for a lot of people.
So no, I can't say this yet. No, come to Code Garden. You might get an opportunity to learn these things.
Oh, I'll be at Go Garden. I got my ticket already.
Good.
Super. Are you talking at Code Garden, Sven?
No.
No.
Not this year, at least. No. Unless I get roped into something last minute like last year, then yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But I'll be happy to chat about anything, you know.
Oh yeah, you always are. Absolutely.
In official HQ capacity, is there?
I think last year when we were there, you were still looking for somewhere to live, or it was in the process of moving.
Yeah, I was looking for a place, and by like the last day, basically in the afternoon, I signed the contract. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it was. It's this place.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Are you far from HQ? Is it a little walk, or are you further out?
I'm. If I run, I'm there in 3 minutes.
Oh golly.
6 minutes walk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can't really work from home. There's no excuse then, is there?
No, but that was. I mean, I can work from home if I want to, or if I'm not feeling up to it, or whatever. That's not an issue. But part of the reason why they hired me was to have somebody in the office for the juniors and the medias to be able to talk to.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm always there. When I'm not there, I'm either not feeling well or I'm actually sick. So
yes, yeah.
I think I've not been in the office 9 days since I've started. So in 8 months, it's
not bad going. How's your GitHub coming along, Aaron?
It's on the push to NuGet step, so that shouldn't take long. Then it's just waiting for it to index.
I don't know if there's anything you can start talking about, or do you want to wait until that's done, or?
I mean, while it's doing its thing, I can show the demo site if you want.
You can give your intros and explain it all, I suppose, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, all I'm waiting for is I was going to show you the starter kit and how you can go from 0 to a fully working site in 2 minutes, but obviously,
right,
with a bug in there. So I've got that fixed.
When you don't have a bug, you can do that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Let me get the demo site up so you can see it in the front end. Let me share my screen then. Right. So. Hopefully this behaves. It's using my cloud PC rather than my local PC. So sometimes it can get a little bit laggy. Right, so let's start the top. So UmbCheckout is, I just want to start off with saying it's not a replacement for vendor on a large site, or not vendor, Umbraco Commerce or whatever it's called now. The target audience for this is small to medium sites, so charities or your local bakery or whatever, people that won't pay the kind of money or can't pay the kind of money for Umbraco Commerce. And it's totally developer friendly and for ease of use. There's APIs for everything. I've spent weeks, probably months, writing the documentation, right down to all of the objects are referenced in here. You know what's in everything, all from the documentation, how to get started, the starter kit, everything's all in the documentation. I know that there's one of the people in the community, he hasn't even used it as a shop. They've used it as a way to subscribe to services, which isn't anywhere I thought it was ever going to be used out of the box. So they've just used all the services that are available behind the scenes. So when they press a button, it does all the connecting, but the front end user doesn't have to go to any kind of a basket or anything like that. Out of the box, it's only integrated with Stripe. I've chosen that because Stripe offers all the payment providers you could ever want. You can use PayPal with it, GPay, Android Pay, the whole lot is just available outside of out the box. And to connect up to that, it's just a matter of adding in an API key. So you can't really get any easier than that. So this is the starter kit. This can be installed with one command, which hopefully I'll better show you in a minute once New gets finished doing its thing. It comes with all the filtering working, the search works. There's a sort of form builder-esque thing in the back office where you can go and build forms and all the services are hooked up for that. The idea behind this is if you need to throw up a site really quickly for whatever reason, like a quick pop-up shop or something like that, you can install this, skin it, stick your Stripe API in, a key in, and off you go. It obviously uses Bootstrap 5 for all the front end and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice and easy. So is there anything on the front end anyone wants to see specifically?
Does it have any filtering or anything within categories? I noticed you got some. I think I saw categories there.
Yeah. We go to shop. Yeah. So you've got all down here. You've got paginations. It's all done out of the box. You've got the filtering on the right. Obviously uses query strings and that, so people can do bookmarking and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's not doing Ajax or anything. It's just standard. Querying, but it's up to the developer if they want to do that for that particular project. The idea is to get up and running as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So you can install this as a starter kit, and all the codes in there you can just amend and add to it as necessary.
Right.
Yes, it's all open source as well, so you can grab the repo if you want. It's on NuGet, as you'll see in a minute. So you can just install it using the NuGet template command. Run the installer, usync runs. You get all the content in the images loaded. So what you're seeing here is what you get out of the box.
Oh, cool.
All the blogs are in there. I've tried to think all edge cases that you could physically think of for what would go into like a little sort of shop kind of thing. Obviously, you've got the basket as well. That's all wired up. Now let's see a famous minute whether or not this still actually works. I haven't touched it for a while.
And do I see if you've got like variants for products? You've got
yes. At the moment, you can only do one variant type. I'm open to PRs at this point on how we can extend that, so you can have, like a short sleeve jacket that's red. Multiple different variants. I can't work out the best way of doing that. So the minute this uses parent children, so red is a child of biker, and then that's how it knows that it's a variant. But yeah, I'm open to any kind of PRs or anything on how to make it multiple.
I think that gets quite complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then potentially you could set a different price on different variant combinations, and well, where do you stop at that point? Becoming kind of a small, as you say, easy to use system via a kind of a big e-commerce package.
I think things like that. That's where Umbraco Commerce comes in, and you need to do complicated things like multiple variants and things. You're going into the realms of needing a much more powerful system than what this is trying to do. This is just trying to bridge the gap between not having any kind of shop or having to write everything yourself to talk to Stripe. So you can drop this in. There's the free version which uses sessions, .NET Sessions, and there's the paid version which I charge £50 a year for, which lets you use cookies and the database for storing it and everything else. So the idea is you're not going to be able to build this for £50. That's the point. Or if you get my hosting, it's free. I'll throw it in with that as well. Anyway, so we've added that to the basket, and we should, fingers crossed, not work. Okay, all right. Well, usually it takes you to the basket page, which is hosted on Stripe elsewhere.
This is the law of demos, isn't it?
It is the law of demos, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Arthur put a comment in the chat about he's got a use case where he needs to build a small e-commerce site and trying to think of how he would do that. So it sounds like this would be a great thing for him to kind of pull down, install the starter kit, and it kind of gives you most of what you need, and you can build upon it from there, or at least take inspiration from it if you've already got a site that you've kind of built already.
Yeah. Looks like I might be able to get that working. Second. Oh no, that's because of the bug. Right, yes. I want to show you this in a minute when I show the starter kit. Yeah, the bugs on this page, the localization service isn't in the Angular, so it can't save the page, and it needs to be saved once to put the what API key to use in the database. So test or production.
Okay.
So at the minute it doesn't know what API key to use. Right. So
can you show us how to manage products and categories
yeah.
and things in here?
So
yes.
We go to products. And so you've got your product categories, which I've added just as a standard node. And in the actual products, they've under the shop. So you just create a product, in this case, the biker jacket. You've got, so this is the background color for the headers. So this piece here. So I've used all of the basic Bootstrap colors out of the box. Again, all customizable. Then you've got your categories that it shows under, so bingo or clothing. Obviously, your SKU number, the photos, the special features you want. So if I put this side by side, so you've got your special features, which are these here. Obviously, you've got your blocks down at the bottom, which I've built a bunch of blocks that you can just drop in out of the box. So that's a carousel. So if you've got multiple pictures, that'd be a carousel there. Again, this is a starter kit, so it gives you the basics of what you need to get going. You could run it straight in production if you wanted like this, but you can build upon it. The idea being that the developers, all the hard work's done. You could give this to them, and within a day, you could have a shop up and running. Right. I'm just going to quickly check on another screen where we're at with NuGet. Where are we? That one there. Okay, cool. Right, we should be good. Right, is there anything anyone else wants to see on the demo site?
So all of you were saying that the basket goes off using the Stripe hosted basket. So you don't see any order history in here. It's purely a mechanism for getting you off to that hosted Stripe basket and checkout process.
You can in not this version, because I haven't got it in this version. So give me 2 seconds and I'll show you. I need to load up Visual Studio on my local PC because that's in the licensed version.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
I was going to ask what other features were different in the paid for versus the free version.
I'll need to remind myself.
Just put you on the spot.
So you've got database storage of the basket. So the idea behind that, I don't give you the code to do it, but in theory you could use that for trying to capture people that have abandoned their baskets and stuff like that. The basket is stored in the cookie rather than the session, so it will survive app pull refreshes and that kind of stuff. You've got there's a payments overview screen, which you can see, the last however many payments, that's all filterable. That's in there. You can set the tax rates as well. So in the free version, you can do just Stripe rates, shipping rates, sorry. But in the paid for version, it gives you the ability to do tax rates. So you can add tax to your products and whatever.
Oh, okay.
Just waiting for it to load. Right, let me change screens. Is it gonna let me do this? Right. What's the password? Ah, no. Fifth time lucky. Right, so this is the screen. Oh, it's not picked up the license key. But here you have a table that uses the standard UI table, which is filterable and then calls the Stripe API, and you can go back as far as you want. Now, originally, I was going to add the ability to process refunds and stuff on this screen. But because the Umbraco back office documentation for VA is non-existent, I can't work out how you hook it up to the groups in the back office so that you can only give certain users permission to do refunds and stuff like that. So again, there's a, if anyone knows how to do it, you can PR that. That would be good. Right. So let's change back now to the other one. Right, so any more questions on that? No?
No.
Right, okay. So let's see if we can do this. So we need to, so first of all, we need to update, in this case, or install the template. So all these commands are on the documentation site. So 1.13 is the one I've just been waiting for. So that installs the template, very much the similar way to how you do it with the Umbraco template. And then we run .NET new Umbraco starter kit, UmbCheckout starter kit, sorry. And obviously it will do its thing there. Then we do, I just need to open this in Visual Studio on a different screen so I can shove the API keys in, otherwise it won't work. Don't want to be putting those out on old interwebs.
I assume you're not recording like orders and payments or anything within UmbCheckout. All that's kind of all handled off on Stripe.
Exactly. Out of the box, no. Not
So
doing
you don't
anything like that.
you haven't got any webhooks calling back after payment and all that kind of stuff.
There's a webhook that calls back. All it is you just for success. Nothing goes into a database or anything like that. So there are half a ton of webhooks, half a ton of notifications you can listen to every part of the process. If a developer decides they want to use and grab more information from the API, it's all there. It's just out of the box. It doesn't store anything locally. That way it's all GDPR compliant, and you don't have to be PCI certified or anything like that to do anything with it, because it's all stored in Stripe. Sorry, just waiting for this. It's always the way. I thought it was going to run a bit quicker than this. It's on the wrong screen. 1 second. Right. Do that again. Can I ask you to, when that, if that flashes up on the screen before you put it on YouTube, can you just edit that out?
Yeah, I will do. Okay.
Because otherwise I've got to go in and change all my API keys. I don't really want to be doing that. That one. Right. Copy that and then paste that into there. Right, let's get rid of that. Okay, so that's that bit done. So then we should just run it, and hopefully in a Blue Peter moment we should get the Umbraco installer. Fingers crossed.
Have you literally just copied your API key from Stripe and put it into your config somewhere, or?
I had it in Notepad.
Yeah, no, but in terms of what you just done that we didn't see, or is that?
I put it in the secrets JSON file. But
Okay.
You can put it in the app settings file or whatever.
Yeah.
Or environment variables or whatever. Again, the structure for it is in the documentation. Right. Let's try and do my best Blue Peter moment now. Right. Right, so all the content is obviously in, and hopefully it's activated. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, you need to set the application URL, because that's how the licensing engine does its stuff. All Umbraco sites should have this set anyway out of the box. So. I think it's one of the health checks now.
Yes, it is. I was running some health checks today. Yeah.
There we go. Right. So go to the Stripe one. Should hopefully save this time. It does. Right. So we go to the Stripe shipping things. You can add a Stripe. These are created in Stripe. So when you're in your Stripe account is where you would create your shipping rates that you're going to have. So day, week, 7 days, however long it's going to be, how much it's going to cost, and then you use this screen to map the Stripe system into the local system, so you can add and remove them. And it's the same for the tax rates as well. Obviously, you need the license for that, but you can say what tax rates you're going to charge in each country, and then the other button appears when you've got it installed, the add-ons installed, and then you can do the same thing, map the Stripe ID to the local ID, the database ID, or whatever it uses under the hood. I can't remember now. It's been a while since I wrote it, but then and that way it will show the correct pricing on the front end to the person browsing the website.
So where does it show the shipping on the front end? Because normally you get that as you go through checkout, don't you? Is that?
Yes. So these are needed to be sent to the Stripe checkout API when you go through to the stage that I couldn't do a minute ago. Just waiting for it to do its thing. So these are sent over automatically for it to check out, calculate. Sorry, what the shipping rate's got to be. So we add that. Go there. Is it going to work this time? There we go. Right. So it's where it's sent over, and it would. I haven't added a shipping rate, but if I had, it would have had a drop down, and it would have said choose your shipping rate.
Okay.
So I go. I should be able to map that back. So I go to shipping rates, add a shipping rate. So let's add, I don't know, a week. Save that. All right, so we've got that, and then we go to. Actually, can't remember how to do this. That's bad, isn't it? Or is it just added automatically? Hang on. I think the shipping is just done on a basket rather than a product. Give me. No. Okay, I'll have to remind myself to do it. It's in the documentation. Oh no, there you go. It's on the left. It's on the left.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So it's added the shipping rate. If you've got more than one, Stripe will then give you the option to choose.
Right, I see. Okay.
So it's not done product level, it's done basket level.
Yes.
Again, that's not a limitation of my side, that's a limitation of the hosted checkout API. So it doesn't have the ability to send over out of the box a shipping rate per product. You'd have to have an inbuilt shipping calculator for that, which is not something I want to get into because that's too specific.
Commerce kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, if someone's selling cakes, I'd imagine you would have a set shipping rate for certain amounts of cakes or something, whatever, that kind of target audience. If you wanted to have shipping calculators, tax calculators, all that, as you say, you'd go with Umbraco Commerce or something a bit more powerful for that. Again, and that's why the price point is so low as well. It's aimed at those smaller sites where, building this is a difference between delivering it on budget or not. Oh, by the way,
Aaron, you should probably
suck at demos. Sorry, let's say, Dean.
I was just going to say you should just show your Git book, your documentation for a second, because it's extremely comprehensive. I think it's fantastic for compared to a lot of other. Look at that.
Yeah, you obviously spent a lot of time compiling all of that.
But the idea was just to make it as, developer friendly. Like if they need to know how to do something, rather than scouring through the source code, you can search for the specific thing, and it will tell you what it's doing. Again, I was thinking sort of, my mindset was sort of beginners as well, people that like maybe new to Umbraco that are coming over from WordPress and using their out of the box, easy to use stuff. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah.
Is it
WooCommerce?
WooCommerce. They
Yeah.
can come to this and see straight away what they need to do.
That's the most frustrating thing when you're trying to work stuff out and you've got no documentation for it, and you're trying to decompile code or just look on GitHub or something. It's definitely good documentation is always a bonus.
So that's the variance there. So you've got the biker jacket, and it's just a child of biker jacket. I said I'm open to ideas on how we can make that more. Because again, this is part of the free version. This is not in the licensed version. I just don't know how we would structure this to be more. I totally agree. It needs to be there. I just don't know how you would structure
to do it. Yeah. No, I think that's a tricky one.
Unless, of course, I guess one way of doing it maybe would be to have different variant types, so that different ones would contain different content. I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, you could have just like red, small, medium, large, like red, small, red, medium, red, large, green, small, green, medium. You could do it that way. So they're still listed as individual items, but they are a variant in itself. But then, of course, if you've got like 3 variations, then obviously that starts getting a bit silly. But whether you would or not, I don't know.
Yeah. And then, as I say, for notifications and stuff, again, I need to remember where they are. What are we looking at? Which payment providers? I'm going blind. Here it is. Right. So we go to like Stripe. You've got notification handlers. So this is all the stuff. This is what's on success from Stripe. It will hit this notification handler. And then you can listen out for that in your code if you need to do something specific. So, for example, the other developer uses that to trigger some internal system in his code on his subscription stuff. So when it comes back, obviously the user just sees that your payment success, and then he's got this layer that runs behind the scenes. But likewise here, you've got webhooks for every step of the page. This is the stuff that's sent out using the new Umbraco webhook stuff. So you can, if you have a third party you need to use, you've got that, and then you've got notifications. So these are the same as the webhook, so exactly the same. It's just these run internally. So if you have an internal service or something, you can listen out for them, and these will send it from the Umbraco webhook system.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I think they should appear in here. Here we go. So payment cancelled, created. So whenever Stripe comes back with one of these, you can tell Umbraco to phone out to whatever other system you want to go to as well.
Yeah.
But they're the ones for Stripe, but there's also loads in the actual. It's not laid out the most user-friendly way. I will admit I can't even find my way around it. There you go, basket notifications. So these are all the ones to do with the basket. You've got all the ones to do with the session stuff. There's loads of stuff.
Again, quite comprehensive.
The idea being is that a developer can pick up with this, and 90% of it's written.
Yeah,
they haven't got to worry about it. And say in terms of as a story, you saw how easy it was to get that starter kit up and running. But if you don't want the starter kit, in the installation guide tells you how to get it up and running on a standard site, and then how you configure it. So that's all in there. There is a property editor. I just can't remember which one it's on, where you can put in product details, which is hooked up to the Stripe like meta stuff, so you can pop in different messages that you can retrieve back from the other side of the API or something like that. I just can't remember where I put it now. It's been a while. See if I can drop it in. This is going to be the hardest bit to convert over because into the new UI thing. Where is it? Yeah, that one. We should hopefully now have find it. Here we go. Oh, that's good. That's broken. All right, but it's a key value thing anyway. So you should get the same as the string, the reusable strings, but it's just key value versions of the reusable strings property editor. I'll figure out why that's broken later.
Another thing for you to fix.
Well, I'm not a front ender, and that's front end, being Angular.
I know, yeah.
It probably broke in V13, I would have imagined.
So what version does UmbCheckout work from? Is it like V9, 10 onwards, or?
Yeah, 10 onwards.
Yeah, 10 onwards. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an Angular error on that. All right, well, that's fine. That shouldn't be too hard to fix at some point.
There's a question from Arthur in the chat about using block lists for the variants. I don't know whether that's a possibility or not, or whether that's not quite going to work. I don't know. Maybe one that Aaron has to think about. But
the developer can do it however they want. The only crucial part that UmbCheckout needs is the ID.
Or the node ID.
Yep. Because it gets the price from it.
Yeah.
So you can structure your site however you want to structure it. You've just got to make sure that price is on there as UmbCheckout price. And then when it gets added to the basket, it will read the node ID to get the price.
Right. Okay.
So there's no limitation on how you want it. If you wanted to use the block list or any other editor of your choosing, or run it however you want to do it, doesn't matter. You just need to give it the node ID.
Right. And what does the SKU and the product name need to be special property names, or are they just whatever you want to call them?
I don't think they do. The only one I care about is UmbCheckout price. If it starts with UmbCheckout, then obviously it's important. But there's only about 1 or 2, I think, which are actually needed. And they're in the documentation. I can't remember to bed, but I know price is obviously definitely one. So again, it's minimal, absolute minimal setup as well. So yeah, UmbCheckout price is the one that you need, and UmbCheckout description. That's the other one. That's it. You can do anything else. You can do however you want to do it.
Oh, that's very good.
Again, the only issue at the moment as well, PRs are available if you want to do it. It will only work with a single language as well at the moment.
Okay.
I haven't changed it so that you can have different currencies based on different languages and stuff. And that's going to involve moving some of the settings to be in a node somewhere, which is language specific, rather than being in the settings where it's singular. So
yeah.
Again, the kind of audience I got in mind for this would be a local shop or a local charity, which isn't going to be doing multiple countries and things.
No. Okay. Anyone got any questions? Anybody think they're going to have a play with it and see if it's going to suit them for a project? Oh, Justin's got his hand up. Have you got a site coming up you think or needs e-commerce functionality?
Well, we're doing well, there's a few things that come up. We get like different projects and things with different requirements along the way. But we are also embarking on porting across what is currently a headless Shopify on our own CMS, porting that across to Umbraco. So we might look at something like this as the initial framework for what we're going to build to save a little bit of time.
I think it'll definitely save you some time, yeah.
Yeah.
So all the information is on the website. You can either go to umpost.net or you can go to umcheckout.com, whichever way you want to go to. You go to the same page. You got all the information on. You got the features and things. That looks like Font Awesome's broken. Yay. And then you've got the prices. As I say, you've got the free version, and you've got the paid version, which is £50 a year. And basically, the way it works is a proprietary license. So you'll pay for the first year, and you'll get the license. And in year 2, I hope that you renew to that to help me support, developing it. But you don't have to because it's tied to a support license at that point.
Mhm.
So year 1 is the product plus a year's support. Year 2 is just support. Hopefully,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't lock it down. You'll be able to carry on updating it. There's no issues like that. It's, it's just sort of morally, most people are hoping would think, let's just carry on paying for it if it's worked for this long.
I think for a lot of people, it's a no-brainer cost, really, isn't it? At that kind of cost, you can't write what you've written for 50 quid a year.
No, exactly.
So it's kind of like, well, it makes sense if you're going to be selling something, then to use that. Obviously, Umbraco Commerce comes with quite a high cost, but that has a much larger feature set and lets you do a lot more.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to suit some people, but it's not going to suit, as you say, your little charities, your little people that are selling just small stuff online and everything. So, yeah.
And then obviously the other option is if you don't want to pay for £50 a year, you can, which is my preferred one, if you prefer it, is to just buy my hosting, and then I'll just give you a license key. The license key would only be valid the whole time the hosting account is active.
Right.
If you decided to go elsewhere, you've then got to buy a license, which I think is to be fair. But
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, even kind of buying a license, I don't think, even if it wasn't on your hosting, that's not a ridiculous cost at all. So
yeah,
in fact, probably think it's quite low. If probably could charge people more than that, really. But yeah.
Well, possibly. I didn't want to be greedy because I open source so much of it. I've only really locked down the more sort of specialist bits, if you like, the bits, a little more advanced stuff. I thought, I don't want to be charging too much because I'm leaning on hopefully the community providing PRs to add the bits that obviously I don't know how to do, or need a little bit more outside thinking, or whatever. So especially like improving the back office stuff, I mean, let's say I'm not a front ender, so all the little bugs and nuances in the Angular, if anyone comes across a bug and knows how to fix it, then great, stick a PR in and fix it, because it's not my strong point.
Oh, excellent. Any other questions at all for Aaron? No, cool. Thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you for joining us and for showing us Checkout. I know you've been working on it for quite a while now, haven't you? A couple of years in the making, maybe.
Something like that. Well, I started it. I'll be a bit cheeky saying this now because I know Sven's on the call. I started building it as soon as I heard that they were removing the cheap license for vendor when it took over to Umbraco Commerce, because I had a charity at the time that was going to buy the standard or whatever it was, the cheaper license.
Yeah, there was the cheap version, wasn't there?
Yeah, which was perfect for it. And I was like, well, I can't spend £2,000 a year. The client charity just didn't have the budget for that. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to build something for the little man.
Yeah, I think definitely they've missed an opportunity there. Rightfully or wrongfully, they're obviously a commercial company and need to make money. But yeah, I think it upset quite a lot of people when the pricing came out for that.
I'd like to see an argument, and I'm open to arguments at this point, as to why you would roll your own Stripe integration to Umbraco rather than using this, bearing in mind it's open sourced. So yeah, it'd be interesting to find out.
Do you have many kind of like showcases of people that have actually live websites that are now running UmbCheckout? I don't know if you ever get that kind of information.
I can see it in the licensing engine, because everyone, to date, to be fair, everyone in production has gone and bought a license. So obviously I can see all that in the licensing system. I can't show any of them because I haven't asked any of them if I can show it. But touch wood, they're all happy, it's all working, and they haven't come back and said it's broken. So
yeah, no, I just mean from your point of view, kind of promoting it by saying, these various sites are, maybe some are well known, some of them aren't, but there's these sites out there, whether they're half a dozen or whatever, running UmbCheckout, and they're quite happily it's serving their purpose, and it just highlights that it works, and it's a nice, easy, cheap option.
I know, so I've got a handful which have bought a license. I don't know how many are running that haven't bought a license, because that's the nature of open source. I know in the telemetry database, which obviously you can turn off if you want, there's a setting for that. There's over 200 installations out there. So I don't know where they are because that's anonymous. So
okay. So there's probably people out there running the free version. You just don't know they're running the free version.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. All I can tell in the telemetry database is whether it's a development install or a standard install. So it detects that is whether it's set to debug or not. You know, in the running the site or whatever. Other than that, I don't know any more on where it's running. I just know that says how many entries there are, and each row is an instance. So if a site's got a production and a staging, obviously there'd be 2 rows in the database. So I don't know any more on that. Oh, and it tells me obviously what packages are installed, so I know which ones to concentrate on. But other than that,
yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you very much for that.
But on that, on building on, maybe I should do a talk at some point. Building on the Cloudflare talk, that whole telemetry system uses Cloudflare workers and a Cloudflare D1 database, I think it is. So it's all hosted on the edge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be an interesting talk. Let's go into that for another day.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay. Any other questions at all? Everyone happy? Marvelous. Excellent. Well, we're probably coming up close to 9 o'clock anyway. So unless anyone's got anything else they want to kind of mention or talk about or ask questions about, then I guess we'll call it a night. So thank you to Aaron. I will get the recording put up, and then those that couldn't make it and Nurhak and that can watch Aaron's talk. Yeah, give me a few days for that, so it might not be till the weekend, but I'll get that done. Good to see some faces. It'd be nice to see a few people at the next. Hopefully, we'll do one in May, an in-person one for those of you that are Kent-based. Look out for details on that. We'll promote that hopefully soon in the next few weeks, and hopefully see some of you at Code Garden.